Hello, everyone! Today, we are going to explore a really interesting topic from your biology syllabus, plant tissues. We're going to open up a plant's survival toolkit and see exactly how these amazing structures help them live and grow. So, think about it for a second. An animal can run away if there's danger or move to find food. But a plant? Well, it's stuck in one place, isn't it? It has to face the hot sun, strong winds, and hungry animals. So how does it manage? Well, the secret lies in its special tissues. So here's our plan for today. First, we'll talk about the challenges a plant faces. Then, we'll look at its first line of defense, and after that, its tough outer armor. Next, we'll explore the plant's internal highways, and finally, we'll do a quick review. Because plants are stationary, they have two big jobs to do. First, they need protection. Protection from drying out, from getting hurt, and from insects. Second, they need a way to transport things internally. To get water from the soil all the way up to the leaves, and food from the leaves to the rest of the plant. To handle these jobs, plants have groups of special cells that work together, and we call these tissues. All right, let's start with protection. The very first layer of defense for a plant is something you can think of as its skin. This outer protective layer is called the epidermis. The epidermis is quite simple, but it's very clever. It's the outermost layer of cells, and usually it's only one cell thick. Now, notice how the cells are packed tightly together, almost like bricks in a wall. This means there are no gaps, which makes it a great protective sheet. And in the parts that are exposed to air, like the leaves, it also produces a waxy, waterproof layer called the cuticle. This is super important because it stops the plant from losing too much water. Okay, so a question comes up. If the epidermis is a continuous sheet, how does it breathe? It does this using thousands of tiny little pores, which are mostly on the underside of leaves. These pores are called stomata, and each tiny pore or stoma has two special kidney-shaped cells around it called guard cells. Now, these guard cells act like little gates. They can open and close the stomata. When the stomata are open, carbon dioxide from the air can enter the leaf for photosynthesis. At the same time, water vapor is released. This process of releasing water vapor is called transpiration, and it's very important. Think of it like a suction pump. As water evaporates from the leaves, it creates a pull that helps draw more water up from the roots, all the way through the plant. The epidermis has another special job when we look at the roots. Here, some of the epidermal cells grow into very long, thin hairs. We call these root hairs. Their main job is to increase the surface area of the root, which allows the plant to absorb a lot more water and minerals from the soil. So the epidermis is perfect for a young, delicate plant. But what happens when that plant grows into a big old tree? It's going to need something much tougher for protection, right? Well, that's where cork comes in. You can really see the difference here. On the left, we have a young stem with its thin, single layer of epidermis. But as the plant gets older and its stem gets wider, like you see on the right, it needs better protection. A new tissue starts to grow and replaces the old epidermis, forming a thick, rough outer bark. And this tough outer layer is made of cork. Now, what's really important to remember about cork is that its cells are dead. They are packed very, very tightly together with no spaces in between. And their walls have a special waterproof chemical in them called suberin. This suberin makes the cork cells waterproof and gasproof. So this combination of dead cells and suberin creates a really tough protective armor for the older plant. Okay, so we've covered how the plant protects itself on the outside. Now let's look inside. How does water get from the roots to the leaves? And how does food get from the leaves to the roots? For this, the plant has a fantastic transport system, like a network of internal highways. These highways are made of what we call complex tissues. So far, the tissues we've looked at, like the epidermis, are called simple tissues. That's because they're made of only one type of cell. But for a complicated job like transport, the plant needs complex tissues. These are made of more than one type of cell, all working together as a team to do one job. The two main complex tissues we need to know are xylem and phloem. Let's start with xylem. You can think of xylem as the plant's plumbing system. Its job is to transport water and dissolved minerals from the roots up through the stem and to all the other parts of the plant, like the leaves. And as you can see here, xylem is definitely a complex tissue. It's not just one type of cell. It's made of several different types of cells that all work together to move water upwards through the plant. Xylem is made up of 4 types of cells. The most important ones for transport are the tracheids and vessels. These are long, hollow, tube-like cells that connect end to end to form a continuous pipe from the roots to the leaves. Now, here's a key point. These cells are dead. And that's actually a good thing. Because they are dead, they are completely empty inside. No cytoplasm, no nucleus, which makes them perfect hollow pipes for water to flow through easily. The other cells are mainly for storage and support. Now for our second transport tissue, which is called phloem. If xylem is the water pipe, then you can think of phloem as the food delivery service. Its job is to transport the food, which is the sugars made during photosynthesis in the leaves, to all the other parts of the plant that need it for energy. Just like xylem, phloem is also a complex tissue made of different types of cells working together. But here is the major difference. While most of xylem was made of dead cells, phloem is made of mostly living cells. And this is really important for its job of moving food around. Phloem also has 4 components. The food transport happens in living cells called sieve tubes. Next to them are companion cells, which help the sieve tubes to do their job. Then there are cells for storage and fibers for support. So, except for the fibers, all the other components of phloem are living cells. All right, we have learned about the plant's armor and its internal highways. Now, let's just take a moment to review and compare the 2 transport systems, xylem and phloem, side by side. Let's go through this table nice and slowly. First, function. Xylem transports water and minerals. Phloem transports food. Simple enough. Second, direction. Xylem transport is only one way, always upwards, from the roots to the leaves. But phloem can move food both up and down, wherever the plant needs it. And third, the cells. Xylem is made of mostly dead cells, forming those hollow pipes. Phloem is made of mostly living cells to help manage the food transport. So, to sum it all up, a plant survival toolkit is really quite brilliant. It has protective tissues like epidermis and cork that act as its armor, and it has complex tissues, xylem and phloem, that work together as its internal plumbing and food delivery system. All of these tissues working together are what allow a plant to survive and grow. And that brings us to one last question. We've seen how plants are organized to meet their needs. But what about animals? They move, they eat, they think. Their needs are very different. So how are their bodies organized? Well, that is exactly what we will explore in our next explainer. We will move on from the plant kingdom and dive into the fascinating world of animal tissues. I hope you will join me for that.